Chapter 3 Networks. Mike, what's the MAC address of T01? Would you know how to approach this problem? What's a MAC address? We will not cover everything about networks. It's impossible. You don't need everything. You have to know some basics. When you think about a MAC address, it is a special physical hardware address that you can find. Every single device that is connected to your network has a MAC address. A MAC address is not something that you assign. A MAC address is assigned by a manufacturer. So if you get a laptop from, for instance, Dell, they assign a MAC address to a wireless card. You don't change it, you just use it. And yes, a MAC address has to be unique. A MAC address is used by your devices in a local area network. Okay, we will start with a really basic definition. What is a network? We think about a network if we can connect at least two devices and they will exchange data. We need a network interface card, NIC, and a special network cable, RJ45. You say, well, I don't have a cable, I use wireless, so yes, it's okay. You have a wireless network interface card. It's just a wireless connection. Another example is, I have a Bluetooth headset. Is it a network? Yes, it is. Do you have two devices? Yes, you have a headset and a mobile phone. Do they exchange data? Yes, you have Spotify running on your device. So yes, Spotify is going to send data to your headset. Actually, there is a name for this network. It's called PAN, Personal Area Network. I've used this term a few times already. A local area network. It covers a limited area. One building, one office, one big place. On the other hand, a wide area network covers a large area. If you take two local area networks, for instance, you have one office in New York and one in Washington, you are going to create a wide area network. You will have a special device in the middle. For a wide area network, it is a router. Or as my friends in the USA keep asking me, it's a router, mate, not a router. Sorry, I spent 6 years in the UK, so sorry about that. When you think about a local area network, this device is a switch. A switch is a special device that allows you to connect a lot of devices in your local area network. A printer, a server, a scanner, a computer, and so on. Okay, what about this MAC address? What's that? How can I check what my MAC address is? Well, I will check it on my local PC. I say ipconfig all. I find my card. And in here I have my physical address. Physical hardware MAC address. It's the same thing. Here is my MAC address. The easiest way to learn about networks is to connect to a router and play with it. You can connect to your own router and see what's inside. When you think about a small network and, even a big network, you have something that is called a default gateway. When you type ipconfig, you can see your default gateway. If you're at home, you can open a web browser and type in this address. 99.999% you will be allowed to connect to it using a web browser. You can browse to it. Do I need a username and password? Yes, sometimes you will find a label on your router. You can go and check it out. Sometimes you will have, an email from your company. Sometimes you will configure it. When you go and buy a router, for instance from Asus, a router will ask you, okay mate, what is your password? Can you tell me what your password will be? So please feel free to type ipconfig and connect to your router. In our next lecture, we will connect to an ASUS router. But it is not a router that I have at home. It is a demo router by ASUS. So you don't have to play with your own router if you don't feel comfortable doing it. Don't worry, you can go to demouiasus.com and play with a router. We will talk about all these things in our next lecture. Let's connect to our router now. When I log in, I will see a special dashboard, something that allows me to figure out what's going on, if my router is connected to the internet, how many devices are connected, and so on. They call it a network map. It's very similar to a dashboard. I have 7 devices over here. When I click View List, I can see how they're connected. What's more, when you think about a router, you can have more than one link to the internet. If you buy a really cheap router, that's not an option. If you pay more, you can have more than one option to connect to the internet. The most popular way is to have, for instance, a broadband connection, and then you buy a USB dongle and go for 4G LTE connection. This is exactly why you have a USB port available on many routers. You can use both connections at the same time. You can use your broadband connection as your primary connection. One thing that is really important if you buy a brand new router, please make sure that your wireless connection is secure. For instance, when you buy a router from ASUS, there is no wireless password. That's how they arrive. Open system. If you connect your router to the internet and your local area network, there is no password required if you want to connect using a wireless card. You don't want to have it? Please make sure that you go over here, go for WPA2. That's what you want to use for wireless. What else can we see here? We can see LAN, local area network. We can see a DHCP server. This means that your router will assign IP addresses to all devices in your network. Finally, some wireless options. Please remember that you want to use WPA2 or WPA3 if possible. Please avoid using WPA and WEP. You have learned so far that we do not really want to go to every single device and configure a feature. We've seen 9.9 Pro. We have pushed a couple of applications. We have installed an agent. We don't have to go and, install or update a PDF viewer on every single device. What about some Windows settings? What if you want to change something on 500 devices? You can ask, okay, what do you mean change? What do you want to do? We want to control what end users are allowed to do. You are supposed to use your laptop to work. You are not really allowed to change network settings, to change your wallpaper, and so on. In many places, you have to stick to a set of rules. For example, I can just specify what icons are allowed on your desktop. I can modify your wallpaper. You can imagine that when you face a customer, and you show your desktop, for instance, you work for a bank and a client can view your screen to accept a policy, you should have a wallpaper with your bank, with your logo, and so on. That's what GPO is designed to do. You can modify hundreds, thousands of options inside. It will keep you busy for a few weeks if you want to go through all these options. When you're done, you have to assign this policy. You can assign a policy for a computer or for an account. Active Directory, GPO, a lot of really powerful tools that you can use to manage all your devices.